back to the podcast. My name is Brandon. This week on the podcast, we're talking about the shadow features and sides of each of the types. In specific language, though, we're talking about what we believe is a necessary function of our internal world, but is actually not. Again, welcome back to the podcast. If you're new and finding us wherever you found us, we believe here at Aim and Anchor that the Enneagram is one of the best tools to understand the story in which you have been living in, and then gives you a real, more true story to live in that highly impacts your relationships, your work, your marriage. What else is there? Relationships, work, kids, marriage. I don't know. All of the things. It helps everything. I love it. And I hope you do too. Anyways, welcome back. Today we're talking about the necessary features that we think are there, but actually not so necessary. This week we're pulling some information, and this one is loosely based, but The Complete Enneagram by Beatrice Chestnut. If you're seeing that on the YouTubes, there you go. That's what it looks like. But give it a Goog or an Amazon, and you'll find it. I'm sure of it. So, we're pulling some information from the shadow side section of each of the types from this book specifically, but then I've kind of added my own flair and flavor to it as well. So, that being said, and my desire to keep these podcasts short and to the point, let me get a drink of water and we'll get going. All right, we're going to start with type 8s, and a lot of Enneagram language, and when we talk through stuff, a lot of times it starts with 8, goes 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And that's what we're going to do today. So, here we go. I should note, every once in a while, not every once in a while, maybe 50-50. The Enneagram is fantastic at understanding your internal wiring and internal dialogue. And sometimes it can hurt a little bit. And so this is just like a little warning, a little heads up. Each of the types has not just one, several things, but things that we hold on to, these old storylines that we believe are working for us still. We hold on to those like with a white knuckle grip, and we believe that those are the things that are going to get us what we want, what we need, how we feel safe and secure in the world. And so some of these points may feel a little intrusive. There you go. That's your warning. All right, we're starting at type 8. Avoiding and hiding your weaknesses and vulnerabilities isn't a necessary feature of your inner world. Your ability to protect is wanted and needed, and it is wanted and needed in this world, I promise. But what is wanted and needed more by those around you is for you to wade into the waters of those exact same things, the weaknesses and the vulnerabilities. And I'm not saying that you are a weak and vulnerable person. What I'm saying is you are a human being. If you are a type 8 or you know a type 8, you are a human being that has vulnerabilities, has weaknesses, just like the rest of us. And especially those that you're in relationship with really desire to see you enter into those as a way to say, like, I understand that I don't have it all together. So your ability to protect is wanted and needed, but what is wanted and needed more by those around you is for you to wade into the waters of those exact same things. Because this is what I want you to hear. Because you, my friend, will not be betrayed. All right? So that's the kind of outline for each of the rest of the 7 or the 8 types. Is we're going to talk about something up front that you think is a necessary feature of your inner world, why that's not the case, and then we're going to come back to the core longing of each of the types. And the core longing for the type 8 is to not be betrayed. And so we'll start there and then just remind each of us of what we're each searching for. So for you, my type 8 friend, you will not be betrayed. And I guess a good question to ask after that is, what would your world look like, your day-to-day look like, if you actually believed and lived into those last few words? I know, wouldn't it be cool? All right, type 9s. Your need to not own any strong opinion, desire, and or emotion is not a necessary feature of your inner world. I got to be honest. As I was researching for the podcast this week, I found it a lot easier to write about the other 8 types and not my own. Because if you don't know, I hold on to the Type 9 storyline very firmly. And so as I'm reading through this book here, I'm going, man, I don't know if any of these really work for me. And obviously that's not the case. But then I got to this line. Your need to not own any strong opinion, desire, and or emotion isn't a necessary feature of your inner world is a tough one to hear as a Type 9, because it's just so easy to not have any of those things. It's just easier. It is. If you are a Type 9, you understand. You know what I'm talking about. Okay? But here's the next line. I know you believe that it will disconnect you from those you love and trust most, but it is exactly the opposite. When we as Type 9s, or you as a Type 9, actually form your opinion, when you actually speak your desire, when you actually wade into your own emotion instead of just trying to keep things calm and peaceful, your relationships get better. You understand yourself more. It's a myriad of things that are incredible. So, let's just read it one more time. Your need to not own any strong opinion, desire, and or emotion isn't a necessary feature of your inner world. I know that you believe it will disconnect you from those you love and trust most, but it's exactly the opposite. Because your voice, my friend, your voice is important in this world. All right, Type 1s, let's talk about you. The loud, berating, critiquing voice in your head isn't actually a necessary feature of your internal experience. That is blasphemous, I know. But I just have one question for you, and I think it's really, really important for you, and here it is. What would happen if you began to question that voice first? What would happen if the berating, the critiquing came up into your mind, started talking? And remember, I don't know if it's been in my other TikToks or past podcasts in season 1, but if you haven't yet, name your internal critic. Give them a name. Give that person a name. It's very, very important. It's a really great exercise for all Type 1s. It helps you kind of separate yourself from that voice and you. But if you question the voice first instead of just believing it to be true and factual, what would your world look like? Because you are not as bad as you think. You, my friend, are actually quite good. All right, Type 2s, your turn. Changing who you are or hiding what you want or need to receive and or get what you want from a relationship is not a necessary feature of your internal experience. That's a lot to take in. Shall we read it again? Changing who you are or hiding what you want or need to receive and or get what you want from a relationship is not a necessary feature for your internal experience. Here's your question. What would your relationships look like? Maybe you could pick one, but in general, what would your relationships look like if you valued your wants and needs as much as the other in the relationship? I know that may seem like you don't, like, what does that even mean? Like, I don't even know how it would do that. Spend some time on this one. What would your relationship look like if you valued your needs and wants as much as the other person in said relationship? I think you would begin to find that not only do you begin to find your needs, your voice, your wants, but you also realize that the relationship, the thing that you desire most, is actually getting stronger. It's actually getting better. And the other person in the relationship really wants that from you. So, What would your relationship look like if that's what happened? Because I want you to know, you, my friend, are truly wanted. Period. All right, type 3. Putting your emotional world on hold isn't a necessary feature of your internal world. It's actually the opposite of that. When you explore those emotions that are a part of actually who you are, you begin to understand who you are even better. When you befriend these emotions, it will become increasingly easier to remove the person you project into the world and become and be a part of the world is your true authentic self. So let's read it again. Putting your emotional world on hold is not a necessary feature of your internal world. On the contrary, exploring these emotions are part of actually who you are. When you befriend them, it will become increasingly easier to remove the person that you project into the world and then be the actual true authentic version of you in the everyday life that you live. Because you, my friend, are valued and loved for who you are, not for what you do. Live into that this week. And my type 4 friends, focusing on what is missing or lacking in relationship or situation is not a necessary feature of your internal world. I know that you believe that it is a thing. It's a thing. It's important. I'm not saying that it's not important, but it is not a necessary feature. Or again, these things are the things we kind of white knuckle grip onto because we believe that they get us what we need and what we want. What would happen if you brought your attention back to the present moment and remembered your own positive qualities and capacity for growth? Maybe you need to pause right here. I don't know. I don't know. What would happen if you brought your attention back to the present moment and remembered your own positive qualities and capacity for growth? Because you have it. You do. Because you, my friend, are seen and loved for exactly who you are. All right, type 5s. Are you ready? Let's do it. Constantly focusing on when or if your internal resources will be depleted is not a necessary feature of your inner world, and here's why. Because you have an untapped potential for creating and generating more internal resources that will replenish you, I promise, especially when connection to others in the outside world is allowed by you, because your needs, my friend, are not a problem. I hope that brings you a little bit of peace this week. 2 more. Type 6. Scanning the horizon for your fears and possible threats is not a necessary feature of your internal world. You have a courage, a strength, faith, power, and self-confidence that is profound and wanted in this world, and it is wanted and needed in this world. And when you release the control of what could happen, the focus of what could happen, the rest of us get to see those beautiful things about you, because you, my friend, are safe and secure. What would this week look like if you, just for a moment, I'm not pretending this is going to be easy either. Like I said, when I read Type 9s, I had a hard time writing it. So I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but what would maybe today look like as you're listening to this, driving to work or to school or on a walk or wherever you are? And instead of scanning for your fears that you have already to make them kind of come to life, what if you lived into the courage, the strength, the self-confidence that you already have inside of you? Because you already know that you are safe and secure. All right, and lastly, type 7s. Not allowing yourself to open up to feeling a pain will not trap you in it, and it is not a necessary feature of your inner world. Let's read that again. Not allowing yourself to open up to a feeling or a pain, it will not trap you. I promise, it won't trap you. And it is not a necessary feature of your inner world. Actually, the opposite. When you open up yourself to the darker feelings, the pain that you have a part of your story, you begin to actually bring more joy into your life and into the life of others. When you turn to face the hard parts of life, instead of silver lining everything. I'm not saying that you have to wallow in it. but acknowledge it. Sit with it. Let it be a part of your story, because it is. You actually bring more joy into your life and then into the life of others. And the best part about this for you, my type 7 friend, is that you do not have to do it alone. Because you, my friend, your needs will be taken care of. They will. So live into that this week. All right, my friends, that is another episode of the podcast. Fell apart there. That is another episode of the podcast. So glad that you joined in this week. Have a wonderful week, and I hope you live into each one of these truths for you and your type. Be well, and I'll see you next week. Bye.